There's an unmatched strength in silence. There's peace in restraint. And when you choose to walk away, not out of weakness, but out of wisdom, something deep within shifts, and so does something in them. This is the strength in letting go. And today, we'll uncover 9 emotional truths they face when you make that choice. Not with anger, not with revenge, but with silence and certainty. 1. They feel the sudden vacuum of your presence. People often underestimate your presence until it's gone. You were the steady voice in their chaos, the quiet strength in their storm. But when you walk away, the first thing they feel is the silence. Suddenly, there's no one to vent to. No one to check in. No one sending good morning messages or asking if they've eaten. That everyday noise, gone. What remains is the vacuum. The void. And it echoes. They scroll through chats to reread what they once ignored. They visit your social media, not to interact, but to feel connected again. It's human nature to take for granted what feels constant, until that constancy disappears. And the longer they sit in that silence, the louder it gets. They start to realize it wasn't about what you did for them, but about how grounded they felt around you. You were the calm they didn't know they needed. Now, they're just left with the noise inside their own heads. 2. They question their own behavior. When you walk away without drama, it creates a mirror, and they're forced to look at themselves. No accusations. No long text messages. No dramatic scenes. Just your absence. That hits harder than any confrontation ever could. Suddenly, they're replaying moments in their head. The arguments, the silence, the things they said or didn't say. They start asking themselves, did I push them too far? Was I the one who was toxic? And here's the paradox. When you argue, they defend. When you leave, they reflect. This is the invisible strength of letting go. You no longer need to convince them of your worth. You let them come to that conclusion, alone. And the truth? That kind of reflection can be tormenting. Because now, they realize they may have lost someone who truly cared. Not because of you, but because of who they were when they had you. 3. They miss the emotional safety you provided. You may not have realized it, but you were their emotional anchor. The one who stayed calm when things went wrong. The one who listened without judgment. The one who saw through their masks. When you walk away, they no longer have that emotional safety net. Suddenly, their world feels colder. The laughter is a bit more hollow. The comfort they felt just being around you, that disappears. And they may try to find it elsewhere. In distractions. In new people. In temporary highs. But emotional safety isn't easily replaced. Because it comes from genuine connection, earned trust, and quiet loyalty. They'll try to move on. But deep down, they'll know. You weren't just someone they liked. You were someone they were safe with. And once you feel that kind of safety, losing it cuts deeper than most admit. 4. They realize you were the one choosing to stay, not needing to. They may have believed you needed them. That you stayed because you couldn't leave. But when you walk away, they realize. You stayed because you chose to. Not out of dependence, but out of love. And that choice, when taken for granted, became their blind spot. Now they see it. Now they know you weren't stuck. You were strong enough to leave all along. You just valued the connection too much to do it earlier. That realization breaks ego. Because nothing stings like realizing you were someone's priority, while they treated you like an option. Now, they'll wish they had appreciated your loyalty before it became a memory. 5. They begin to romanticize the past. Memory has a way of becoming kinder when someone is gone. They'll start remembering all the good times. The laughs. The late-night talks. The way you looked at them when they weren't looking. But here's the catch. They'll remember it better than it actually was. Because absence isn't just physical, it plays with memory. When you're no longer around, they begin to romanticize you. Every flaw is softened. Every moment enhanced. What once annoyed them now feels endearing. What they once ignored now feels irreplaceable. And it hurts. Because now, they realize the beauty of what they had. Only after it's too late to get it back. 6. They feel powerless over your peace. There's something quietly intimidating about a person who can walk away and not look back, who doesn't lash out, who doesn't seek closure, who simply chooses peace. Because most people are used to chaos after conflict, to the loud endings, to guilt trips, to begging and bargaining. But when you walk away with peace in your eyes and calm in your heart, it shakes them. They expected pain. They expected anger. Instead, they see peace. And that peace is unsettling. Because it means you're not trying to win. You're not trying to prove anything. You're not emotionally bound anymore. You've reclaimed your power. And now they feel powerless not over your actions, but over your peace. You've healed in silence. And that healing? It's louder than any argument could ever be. 7. They begin to feel the weight of regret. Regret is a heavy emotion. Not sudden, slow. It creeps in when no one's watching. It visits at night, in the pauses between distractions. And it always arrives after they realize what they lost. At first, they'll deny it. Convince themselves you were overreacting. That it's your fault you left. But time has a way of dissolving pride. They start to remember your kindness, your patience, the way you forgave even when they didn't deserve it. Now, they wish they'd held your hand instead of holding on to their ego. They wish they had been more present, more grateful, more aware. Regret isn't loud. It's quiet, like a whisper that grows louder every time they see your name and know they can't reach out. Because by then, they know the door is closed. And they're left staring at it, wishing they'd walked through it when it was open. 8. They start comparing everyone else to you. After you walk away, life goes on, for both of you. They meet new people, try new connections. But something's missing. Because no matter who they talk to, there's always this invisible measuring stick. And that measuring stick is you. How you listened. How you responded. How you remembered the little things. Every new conversation becomes a subtle comparison. And no one quite matches the emotional depth you brought. Sure, others may be funnier, louder, more available. But none feel quite like you. And that's the curse of losing something real. Everything after it feels a bit more artificial. They'll try to convince themselves they've moved on. But in quiet moments, they'll realize they're still searching for someone who feels like home the way you did. 9. They finally understand the value of your presence. We rarely recognize the value of someone while we still have them. We assume they'll stay, that they'll always understand, that their patience is infinite. But when you leave, when you finally choose yourself, that illusion crumbles. They begin to realize the strength it took for you to love them, the quiet battles you fought for the relationship, the parts of yourself you dimmed just to keep the peace. And now, they see it clearly. You weren't needy. You were generous. You weren't clingy. You were consistent. You weren't dramatic. You were expressive. They misread your love because they didn't understand your value. Now, they do. But now, it's too late. And the hardest part? They'll likely never find that same kind of presence again. Because love like yours isn't just rare. It's once in a lifetime. Your power was never in staying. It was in knowing when to leave. Letting go isn't giving up. It's growth. It's saying, I love myself enough to walk away from what no longer honors my worth. Because strength isn't in how tightly you hold on. It's in how gracefully you release. They may feel regret. They may miss you. They may finally understand who you were. But this journey, it's not about them anymore. It's about you. Your peace. Your healing. Your future. Because the strength in letting go is knowing that walking away doesn't mean you lost anything. It means you finally chose yourself. And in the quiet after goodbye, You find your greatest power.